Andrew, we've seen so many red flags lately in showings
Yep.
and with buyers and buyers agents. We're going to go through those in today's video.
I'm just going to go through a couple of things that when they come through as a showing request, these are big red flags that don't look good for the buyer's agent. So
you're going to want to stay tuned and avoid these or look out for them when showing and selling your real estate.
Perfect.
Andrew, I know you love this topic.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
you love it, but
it's something that pops up whenever the market is a bit slower, right? You're going to have showings that come through that just, and what I think I want to talk about just really quickly are 3 or 4 different things that when they come through as a showing request.
What is the first thing you do?
Well, the first thing I do when I get a showing request is I pick up the phone and call the buyer's agent. The first question I'm going to ask you is, how long have you known these people? Because if you say to me, well, I've known them for 7 years and we've been looking for 5, that's a huge red flag this isn't serious. This isn't serious.
7 years, the market's
changed.
Up, down, all
the if they haven't bought in 7 years, they're probably not ever going to. The second huge red flag, I'm going to ask you how many properties you're showing. And I have legitimately had agents tell me I'm showing them 15 properties from North Anna Maria Island down to Venice. There is no, first off, this is my feeling about that. I know, listen, I know there's a bunch of agents that are just dying to jump on here and tell me the 25 times I was wrong. I get that sometimes that there's somebody who just demands on seeing 15 properties and you don't want to lose a buyer for that reason.
Right.
Generally speaking, though, if you can't get them to come down to 3 or 4 properties, first off, it's going to be a really long, hard day. Second off, after 3 or 4 properties, they don't remember the first 2, 3, 4.
They want to eat. They don't remember the properties.
Even if you were to go see 10 properties that were all within 2-3 minutes of each other, that's still going to be a 6-7 hour day. And if you started at 9 a.m. in the morning, you're talking about 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. without a lunch break in there. There's just no way you can see that many properties. The third thing I'm going to ask generally is going to be, are they financing? Are they cash? What is their situation? Do they have proof of funds? And if you're stumbling over that question,
it's easy.
Then the bottom line is this, especially when you go over $1.5 million. If it's over $1.5 million and I ask for proof of funds, people that are serious have no problem screenshotting the proof of funds, blocking out their thing, and texting it over to us. If they can't do that, there's absolutely no reason to show the property.
Your whole list of assets. We don't want to see it. We don't care about that. All we care is that you can, purchase the property in question.
Well, I'm going to give you another hint or tip here. It actually isn't about the money at all.
No.
All it really is about is, are you serious enough to log into your account, to log into your account in 20 seconds and screenshot your account and shoot it over to us? If you're not willing to do that, you're not that serious of a buyer, especially if you're looking over $1.5 million or $2 million. The other thing that really drives me crazy, and this is the last one, is when I call an agent back and you ask them where they're looking, and they're like, we're looking from St. Pete Beach down to North Fort Myers Beach, and you're like,
that's a huge,
what that is?
By the way, look at the map on that.
What that tells me is you haven't narrowed down one area. Which means those areas differ so much. There's no way they can compare a house in St. Pete Beach to a house on Manasota Key. And what that is you are just spraying and praying as a buyer's agent if you're doing that. And the bottom line is that's never going to result in a transaction.
Very rarely. So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance. What I will tell you is, if you call me and I have these red flags, usually what I'm going to say to you is, here's the code, or it's on a super box, go knock yourself out. If you're a buyer's agent, the best way for you to transact the property is have the listing agent there that can talk your buyers through any questions or concerns that they have. When I don't show up, that is really me just saying you don't have a serious buyer, or you don't have, you're not showing me anything that would lead me to believe. Well, you're not giving me any reason to believe that this is serious.
It's actually a really simple, quick, and easy process if you're pre-approved or if you've got proof of cash, right? It's very, very simple, especially cash. If you have the cash, we don't want to see your account numbers. We don't need to see full asset allocations or anything like that. It's just, we need to see your name on it, or your company, or your LLC, your trust name associated with you.
Right.
Okay, it needs to be within like the last 90 days is normally, even 6 months, but 90 days preferably, or 30 days. And it has to have the appropriate amount of funds. It's not a lot to ask. And a lot of the sellers, even in the lower tier, they're asking for proof that you can do it, because why? Agents are accompanying our showings, we're taking time. And also, outside of us, who cares about us and our time? Let's think about our sellers, right? These sellers are hopeful. They're like, wow, we have a showing. Maybe they haven't had a showing in a couple weeks or 3 weeks or a month, or we don't know. And they're so excited, and they're looking forward to having a great experience and getting great feedback, or getting any feedback. But when I just had this happen, and I told you about it. I had an agent show one of my listings. They were literally looking from St. Pete and north of St. Pete all the way down here to Sarasota.
That's never a result in their transaction.
And they were looking at 10 per day for 2 days. And so when I went back to ask her for the feedback, because of course she didn't fill the feedback out,
she doesn't remember the property.
She didn't remember the property. She thought it was one that they canceled in St. Pete. And I was like, no.
Well, wait a second. Let's go to that point though. She didn't remember the property. She's the realtor who looks at properties all the time, and if she doesn't remember it, I promise you her clients didn't remember it either. So why should my clients spend the day making sure the property is clean and picked up and ready to go and smells good and looks good and is all the things? Why should they do that when you're showing 20 plus property? Now, people are going to ask me, well, so what do you do to get around that? Yeah, if you're a new agent and your buyer calls you and says, I want to see these 25 properties, this is what I do. What I say is, listen, I'd love to show you these 25 properties. Do this for me. Rank them 1 to 25. Let's go and see your top 3 or top 4. In all likelihood, the one you want to buy is in those top 3 or 4. If we go through those top 3 or 4 and you don't find the property that you want to buy, then we can look at properties 5 through 8. But if you go try to cram 8 properties in one day, they're not even going to remember the first 5.
Also, you're hiring me as a hyper local, right?
Right.
What about St. Pete to Englewood is hyper local?
Nothing.
They don't know the streets. They don't know where the home is in relation to schools, grocery stores, malls, the interstate. You don't know that, right? You can't rattle that off the top of your head really quickly.
Right.
And what service is that for the buyer or the seller, frankly, when you don't know the market here and you don't have access to our intel?
Well, and so to your point with that, another red flag, before I've even talked to you, when you call me and you're calling me from an area code that's in Orlando or Jacksonville or Tampa, and I see that number come over, usually the first thing I'm doing is, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking up your webpage to see if you're even from this area. Because the reality is if you're driving from Orlando, you don't know Sarasota.
I had one that the guy drove from Orlando. They were only looking in one building on Longboat Key. We did put the deal together, but that is a really rare case.
That's rare.
They knew they wanted the building. They were really organized.
Right.
We were really efficient, and they just were in a hype. I mean, and not to mention, if I'm the buyer's agent, when I am interviewing the buyer just as much as they're interviewing me, and we decide on areas, it's my job to narrow things down. It's saving time, effort, energy, and really honing in on, it only takes one house. It doesn't take 30. My job is to hone that in for you and that's a service. That's my service to you, because I know this market inside and out. I know these neighborhoods inside and out. Just wait. And I'm going to show you in the most efficient manner possible geographically. You're going to say, oh my gosh, this was so quick and easy. Yes, that's my job, because I know what I'm doing. I know the markets. I know pricing. I know what you're going to like before you almost. Very rarely am I surprised by a buyer, because we talk and we have a lot of dialogue and we go back and forth, and you have the portal where you save properties. So by the time we're actually looking, boom, 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 it's efficient.
But let's talk about like the agent who doesn't know the area. Yeah, I've had an agent call me and say, well, we're going to come and see the property. And as I start asking them about the client, well, do they know Sarasota? No. Have they ever been here? Well, they've been there one time on vacation. Great. What are they looking for? Well, they're looking for a house that they can put their large boat. There's only 25 to 40 homes in Sarasota that you could put a large yacht behind. And so if you're coming to look at my house that is, the water behind it gets to 3 inches deep at low tide, there's no way you can put a large boat behind there. So I think the big point though is this, like right now, because the market is much slower than it has been, although it is picking up, because the market is starting to pick up, we're starting to see more showings, but we're also starting to see a lot more showings that are they're disorganized agents from out of the area,
or really late,
that are really late.
If I'm waiting there, well, first, like if I'm a company, which we accompany a lot of our showings to sell our listings,
right,
and you don't know the geographic distance to travel, then that is a very annoying thing for the agent.
You're wasting my time.
Like your unprofessionalism on top of
right.
that, and maybe we kick the seller out of their house for a period of time, and they're just like, well, I have a life too,
right.
and I need to know, like, it's unorganized, inefficient, unprofessional.
Yep. So I think like we've kind of gone through, you know, a bunch of the red flags here. Those are kind of the top ones that we're starting to see in the market right now. But my hope is that as we pick up and start getting, you know, over time, a lot of those agents filter out, of course. Yeah. But you know, something I would say to those agents that are coming down from other areas, refer the business out. Yeah. Like I would never go do a deal in Orlando or Miami when I don't know Orlando and Miami.
Listen, maybe if it was like 5-10 million,
I wouldn't.
I'd learn the market.
I would call the agent up. I would find a really solid agent down in that area, and I'd refer it out so that they have a professional that knows that area.
It's the best thing for
the client,
right? Whether it's the buyer or the seller. End of story.
Agreed.
So if you want an efficient, professional, on top of it, organized agent, you call me. Don't call him.
No, call me. Don't call her.
What's the number?
No, but give me a call anytime, and I work early in the morning till late. Call me anytime on my cell at 941-586-2460.
And I'm at 941-544-7690.